I was raised in a devout Muslim household. My life changed when I lost my father at a young age. I felt lost and alone without him. My mother sent me to live with my uncle, who welcomed me into his home. He and his family were very committed to their faith. They prayed 5 times a day and followed the teachings of the Quran. I admired their devotion and slowly started to embrace Islam more deeply. As I grew older, I went to university. Life was busy with classes, friends, and a lot of distractions. I met many different people, including some passionate Christian evangelists. They would approach me, handing out pamphlets and inviting me to their gatherings. I politely declined, feeling proud of my faith and convinced that I had all the answers in Islam. However, during my second year at university, I began to experience severe health issues. I had a heart condition that doctors struggled to diagnose. Despite their best efforts, my condition worsened. I felt pain and fear creeping in. My faith kept me strong, reminding me of the promises of paradise and eternal rest for the faithful. Finally, on June 27, 2023, I passed away. In that moment, I felt a strange release from my body. I was floating, looking down at my lifeless form. I expected to be welcomed into heaven, but instead, I was pulled into a dark tunnel. As I traveled through it, a feeling of dread consumed me. Emerging from the tunnel, I found myself in a terrifying place that resembled hell. The air was thick with despair. Around me were countless souls, all in agony. I recognized many of them as Muslims, just like me. They were crying out for mercy, desperately calling upon Allah, yet their pleas fell on deaf ears. Suddenly, terrifying demons approached, their eyes filled with hunger. They lunged at me, causing an intense pain that I'd never known before. I felt utterly powerless against their might. I saw others screaming, their voices filled with terror, and I realized I was in a place where hope was lost. Desperately, I called out for Muhammad, pleading for him to help me. I believed he would save me from this torment. But instead of relief, I heard mocking laughter from the demons. One of them pointed to a tortured soul in the corner. To my shock, I recognized him as Muhammad. The demons taunted me, saying he was no different from us, just another soul trapped in hell. The weight of their words crushed me. Everything I had been taught felt like a lie. The teachings of my faith that promised paradise seemed meaningless in this place of suffering. I could see the faces of my fellow Muslims, once so proud of their devotion, now broken and lost. Their cries echoed around me, a chorus of despair. In the midst of this torment, I felt a flicker of something. Was it hope? Suddenly, a light pierced through the darkness, brighter than anything I had ever seen. It was pure and filled with love. I felt drawn to it, like a moth to a flame. I moved toward the light, feeling warmth wrap around me. As I approached the light, I saw figures standing there. They were radiant and seemed to exude love and peace. They spoke to me without words, filling my mind with understanding. They showed me visions of my life, moments where I had turned away from love and compassion. I saw the times I had judged others and clung too tightly to my beliefs, forgetting the true essence of faith. The figures pointed toward the darkness I had just come from. I understood that my heart had been filled with fear and anger. I had lived too much for the rules rather than the love behind those rules. It was a moment of realization that shook me to my core. I saw the path I had chosen and the consequences it had brought me. But alongside that understanding, I also felt forgiveness. I realized that love is more important than rituals. The light surrounding me radiated forgiveness and acceptance, urging me to let go of my past. Just as I was about to reach the light, I felt a sudden pullback. The warmth of love faded, and I found myself back in the dark place. The demons were still there, still mocking me. They were furious that I had even dared to approach the light. But this time, I held on to the understanding I had gained. I understood the importance of love, compassion, and unity among all people, regardless of their beliefs. I realized that my purpose was not to judge others, but to love them, to share kindness and understanding, and to bring light into the world. Even in the depths of hell, I found a flicker of hope. I began to call out to the souls around me, sharing what I had learned. I told them about the light, about the love that transcends all beliefs. At first, they were confused, still trapped in their pain. But as I spoke, I saw small sparks of recognition in their eyes. It was not easy. The demons were furious with my defiance, but I didn't care. I felt emboldened by the light I had seen. I shared the message of love, urging them to let go of their fear and embrace the truth of compassion. It was a small flame of hope, but it was enough to ignite something within us. As I continued to speak, the darkness began to lift. I felt a strange sense of freedom. Even though we were still in hell, I felt connected to the souls around me. We were united by our shared suffering and the desire to find redemption. In that moment, I knew that love could break through any barrier. While the torment of hell still surrounded us, we began to support one another, lifting each other's spirits. We found strength in our unity, sharing stories of our lives, our mistakes, and our regrets. In that dark place, we became a community. Eventually, I felt myself being pulled again, this time toward the light. It was more powerful than before. I glanced back at my companions, who now shared the same understanding. I knew that love would carry us forward, even through the darkest of times. As I stepped into the light, I could feel the warmth and peace enveloping me. It was as if I had finally found my way home. I realized that my journey was not just about my faith, but about the love we share as humanity. I had been given a second chance, a chance to spread that love. I returned to my body, gasping for air, my heart racing. I realized the power of compassion and forgiveness. I felt grateful for the opportunity to share my story, to remind others of the light that exists even in the darkest places. Today, I strive to live with love and kindness, sharing my experiences with those around me. I want everyone to know that no matter where we find ourselves, love can guide us home.